I was chosen. I was chosen by God to do this. This was, I think, my life's work. I think this was my life's work. Hello and welcome. This is Corey from Bach Scholar. Thank you for joining me today. As you saw in the thumbnail, my new book on Bach, which is right here, is being blessed and dedicated this coming Sunday in a Lutheran church service. Isn't that the coolest thing? Now, here's what I was doing. I was putting finishing touches on my book, which, by the way, I've been working on for 33 years. Okay, so this is something that I've been doing my whole working life. It is a theory I've been working with for a long time. I finally introduced and proven my theory in this book. So, why am I getting this dedicated in a Lutheran church? Well, first of all, I happen to be Lutheran, or that is the faith that I follow right now and have been following for the last, probably 7, 8, maybe 10 years or so. And as I was putting finishing touches on this book, Tempo and Duration in the Music of Bach, I was, it was just a couple weeks ago. It's July. Okay, if you're a Lutheran, this rings a bell with you. Okay, so I was thinking, God, what can I do really special? Because I've been working on this book so long. I feel like I've been pregnant for 30 years. This is something I've wanted to do 10 years ago or even 15 or 20 years ago, but I just couldn't do it. So, I think it's good that I waited this long because I'm older and I'm more mature with my research, and I think it's a barn burner of a book. I'm proud of this book in every way, and I wanted to dedicate it to God and to Bach, and also to my former professor who I dedicated this book to. But anyway, let me get to the point here. So I'm opening up this Lutheran service book, which we use in our Lutheran church, and it is, if you look in July, you have the whole section here on commemorations. And the commemorations are giving respect and commemorating those not necessarily theologians or anything like that. So, but people or figures that shaped the Lutheran Church in some way. And of course, Johann Sebastian Bach, being the great cantor that he was, of course, he gets July 28th as his commemoration day because that's the date that he died, July 28th, 1750. And so as I was putting finishing touches on my book, or sort of going through the first draft of it here, that this is all marked up, I was thinking, wow, I can do a dedication this Sunday and dedicate it to God and to Bach. Wouldn't that be the coolest thing? So I notified my pastor. I asked him if he would like to do that. He said, yes, that's great. My pastor happens to be a musician too. He's a trumpet player. He actually majored in trumpet. So I'm happy to say that my pastor is musically literate and musically informed. In fact, he'll love reading this book too. So my great pastor at the Lutheran Church is doing the dedication, and I just look forward to this. This is like so exciting for me. It's almost like, feeling like you're getting married or something. It's just really an incredible feeling. I've been working on this for over 30 years, and finally it's getting put down into stone here. I'm carving it into stone. I'm putting it in this book, this nice spiral bound book. By the way, the hard copy books won't be available until July 28th, Monday. That's coming up. It's right around the corner. But you can get the PDF download, printable PDF download if you would like. It's actually great to get both of them. So I would suggest getting the PDF download for maybe your devices, And then on maybe in about a week or so, you can go and order one of these. I'll give you the link of where to go to get one of these hard copies here. Actually, it's going to be thicker than this. So this is the first draft, or sort of my first proof that I did about 3 weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. And I had this sent to me, and I totally revamped it. I added like 14 pages. I added like many more examples and things that I just really beefed it up in the last month. And this is something I could have never written like 10 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, because I've been doing a lot of very much research over this time period and analyzing Bach's works. And it's really the analysis of Bach's works that tell us everything, because it's not just it's not just what we want. Tempo is not a human. I mean, yes, you have to decide on a tempo, but Bach approached this scientifically. Bach was a musical scientist. He wasn't just a composer. He approached this very systematically. And Bach has, and through my analysis over the many years, I can show, and I show in this book, that Bach planned the durations of his music. He planned the tempo, and then he planned the number of measures in order to attain a certain duration of time. And one reason why I couldn't ever publish this book earlier, and it took me 33 years to finally do this thing before, after I stumbled across the theory, was it's just so much music. And 25 years ago or something, when the theory was new and I was bringing it out and explaining it to my colleagues, musical colleagues, I got a lot of backlash. It was just crazy. The craziest idea, the craziest theory. I'll never prove it. I'll never be able to prove it. Everybody told me, oh, you'll just never prove it. It's all just conjecture. That's just your personal opinion. Well, that bothered me. That really bothered me 20-something years ago, that, I could never prove it. But I knew it was true, and I had to prove it. So what did I do? I waited 30 years. I just took my time. I worked on it off and on over a 30-year period. I grew with it. It matured like fine wine or fine cheese or something else that needs to age. It's aged to perfection. So this is a theory that I came up with when I was a 29-year-old graduate student in 1992. And I stumbled across this theory. It's like this spirit visited me or something. This spirit or something was telling me these things that Bach did with his music. So I feel like I had help from somewhere above, but I don't know what that was. At that time, when I had this sort of tempo epiphany, which I talk about in my book, at that time, I wasn't religious. I was not a Christian. I didn't go to church. In fact, I was practically an atheist. So this was not, it was sort of like a religious experience, but I didn't become a Christian then at that time. It just was a weird thing. The Spirit informed me of Bach's system. I don't know how else to say it. I know that sounds arrogant, but that's what happened in 1992. I was given the power to figure out Bach's tempo system, and I was given the power to pass this on to you. I was chosen. I was chosen by God to do this. This was, I think, my life's work. I think this was my life's work. I know this sounds ridiculous when you think of it, but this was my life's work. When I was 29, really young, 29 in graduate school, and I came across this theory, I knew it was groundbreaking. I knew it would change history. I knew it would. But there's no way I could have proven it then, because I had to go through the process of going through all of Bach's music, his complete works. We're talking like over 200 cantatas. We're talking all his other vocal works. We're talking all of the organ works, all of the harpsichord works, all of the chamber works, all of the violin works, all of the cello works, all of the flute works, everything, the art of fugue, the Goldberg variations, everything, virtually everything that Bach wrote, there's an analysis for it in this book. And it tells you the exact tempo that Bach planned for all those movements. And I prove it. I prove it in this book. I couldn't prove it 20 years ago, but I prove it now in 2025. Now, I don't want to sound arrogant. What can we get out of this? Well, we know what Bach's plans were. That's all. We know how Bach wanted his music to be played in terms of tempo. So we know how fast and how slow Bach wanted his music to be, because I figured it all out in this book. I know this sounds crazy. People were calling me crazy years ago. Oh, you're crazy. This is all just a stupid theory you've come up with. You'll never prove it. And what did I do over 30 years later? I proved it. I proved my theory. And it's in this book. And I am so happy that it's going to be blessed this Sunday, because I want to bring it before God and bring it before Bach. It's funny because I have a little poem here that I composed just for Bach. So if I ever meet Bach in heaven, I'm going to read him a little poem. And it's sort of like, I treat it like Bach loved puzzles. And he had a system of composition that he never told anyone. And I was the one that figured it out. It's like only me and Bach know this. So only me and Bach know Bach's system. And I stumbled across it in 1992. I'm not bashful about that. I stumbled across it. A spirit told me Bach's system, and a spirit gave me the permission to pass around Bach's system and to spread it around, sort of like the gospel, but it's not religion necessarily. But Bach did use religious symbolism in his music, and I talk about that too. I talk about, why did Bach do all this? Why did Bach want to unify movements of various durations? Why did he plan his tempos and durations? Was he that obsessed about things? Did he want to just control everything? Well, yeah, he kind of did. And I show in this book that Bach was preoccupied with symmetry, and he did some very fascinating things with symmetry and the way that he organized the temporal structure of his large works. So I know this sounds all very, highfalutin and everything, but all you have to really know is a little bit of math, a little bit of mathematics. Like 2 minutes. 2 minutes is, we can all comprehend what 2 minutes is. Well, what about 4 minutes? We all can comprehend what 4 minutes is. Well, wouldn't you know that Bach often, well, not often, all the time actually, Bach all the time, his main system was to unify movements within the same works, like a prelude and a fugue, or in a cantata it might be an aria and a chorus. And those two movements, one movement might be 4 minutes and the other might be 2 minutes. Now, how on earth did I figure that out? Like, how do you know which one's 2 minutes and which one's 4 minutes? And how do you know all this stuff? I mean, yeah, it's all nice in theory and everything. Well, just get my book. That's all I can say. Just get my book that's being dedicated this Sunday. The hard copy is available next week. It's all in here. I can't tell you it all in a video. It's just, you just have to read it, and you have to know a little about math, and you have to have a calculator, and you have to have patience. But once you have these things, it's really amazing, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating what Bach did in his music. It's just mind-blowing. It just blows your mind, like Brandenburg Concerto number 4. It's amazing. It's like the first movement and last movements are a 3-to-2 ratio, and then the middle movement is it like a 2-to-3 ratio? Yeah, 2-to-3 ratio for that. So you have a 3-to-2 ratio between the durations of the outer movements, and you have a 2-to-3 ratio of the durations of the second movement and the third movement. And there's no margin of error. Bach was perfect. He got the exact number of measures he needed to attain those durational relationships. It's really mind-blowing what he did. Bach was like a mathematician, or like an architect. He was an architect / mathematician of music. He was not a composer. Okay, get that across. He was not a composer. He was an architect and a mathematician of music. That does not take away his worth, as an artistic figure. I'm not taking anything away by saying that, by saying he was not a composer. But see, a composer is someone who just writes music. And Bach didn't just write music. He had a whole scientific system that he worked with, and I figured out in 1992. So anyway, enough of me ranting about my new book. I'm really happy about this Sunday, and I hope you get one of these, and I hope you're able to read it and understand it, and I hope that you'll learn a lot from it too. I am so happy about this book. I'll see you in the next video.